This video is a bit impromptu and unplanned, but there was something that's been brought to my attention that I feel I just need to make a brief video to acknowledge it. So I'd just like to thank YouTube user HCI BSW for bringing this to my attention. I'll just like to read the comment that they made. So the comment is, I need to mention something about the ads on your website. I know they can vary by area and you have no control what gets shown. I am in New Jersey, United States. These are ads from the DHS recruited for Customs and Border Patrol, a way of recruiting for immigration and custom enforcement without saying ICE. So it sounds like the ads don't directly say ICE, but of course, ICE falls under that umbrella, and there would be that implication. So yeah, this is definitely deeply troubling to me. And I think anyone who check out my website and watch my videos would have a pretty good idea of what my personal stance is. Like on the website, there's a number of articles that feature anti-ice socks. And it seems like, because I've seen a couple of other comments that they laugh, the ads appeared on articles about anti-ice socks. So I think what's happening is the algorithms, because ads tend to be targeted and based on what you search for and the ads that you view. So the algorithms did miscalculations like, okay, this person is looking at an article that mentions ice, so we'll post this ad about ice recruitment. So hopefully anyone that's watched my videos and visit my website knows where I stand. Obviously, I do not support ICE, or at least especially in its current form. Because I am reading this and it mentions things like custom and border patrol. So yes, I guess I can acknowledge I'm Canadian, so I don't know exactly how it works in states. But I do know when you go to the airport, I traveled a couple of times. You got custom officials that ask you questions, and I don't want to necessarily label all these people as evil. They're just doing their job. Um, but ICE in its current form, like when you think of the mass thugs that terrorize communities and are murdering civilians, that is evil. And anyone that can justify and support that, I mean, I have to question if you have a conscience. Because I think just about everyone can agree, because you do get people, and I think that they might be, I don't know if they're disingenuous or just dumb, but you get the people that want to argue that, okay, people all out protested in favor of trying to protect like rapists, pedophiles, and murderers. And obviously, that's just idiotic. No one in their right mind wants rapists, pedophiles, and murderers on the street. I guess it's a surprising number do want a pedophile in the White House, a rapist and pedophile in the White House, but that's an entirely different topic. But the point is the issue isn't that people are supporting violent criminals, because obviously that's an idiotic argument. Anyone that's trying to make that argument, no one's trying to protect criminals. The issue is the tactics that are being used by ICE. So, like I said, you got mass fogs, you got them racially profiling people, at times even targeting children, at times they're denying people's due process. And then, of course, you got the murders of citizens. So you got what's going on in Minneapolis. in the murder of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. So I don't see how anyone can support that. But just getting back on topic here, I think most people would know that I do not support ICE, but because the ads have appeared on my website, I thought I needed to make a brief video to spell that out and make it clear. And then also, if anyone's, because there's only one person that's mentioned it to me at this point. So once again, I'd like to thank them. But there may have been others as well. So if you were visiting my website and you got an ad for ICE or for, because it did mention, it doesn't directly mention ICE. So if you got the ad and a recruitment ad from the DHS, I apologize. And I also apologize if anyone's been upset or triggered by this. Obviously, I never want that to happen with any of my visitors. Um, so it is tricky because, as acknowledged in this comment here, which I appreciated, when you use Google AdSense, you actually have no control over the ads that get displayed on your website. And as I already sort of touched upon, the ads tend to be targeted based on what people search for. And in this case, the algorithms obviously got it wrong and miscalculated. Um, I did try to reach out to Google. I couldn't figure out a direct way of contacting them about ads and about making sure that certain ads don't get shown on my site. But there was a way of leaving feedback, and it mentions that when you leave the feedback, that they'll get back to you with more information. So I'm hoping that they do. So I'm hoping that they get back, and I'm hoping that there's a way where I can prevent this from happening again. But I really want it, and I'm sorry that the video is rambling because, like I said, this is unplanned and obviously unscripted. But yeah, I'm hoping that this issue gets resolved and this is a one-time thing. But like I said, if anyone else has seen these ads, I definitely apologize. And there's also one other thing I want to just mention briefly because I'm already conflicted with the fact that I do have ads on my website. So I just one. Um, Obviously, ideally, I wouldn't want to have ads, especially with the nature of the website. But the reality is that unfortunately it is a necessary evil. In the past, I've tried not to have ads, like I have a donation feature. I still have a donation feature, but I very rarely get donations. And I don't think I've gotten donations since I re-enabled ads, which I understand. Like, why would someone give me a donation if I have ads on my website? So I'm not being critical of that. In the past, I did get a few donations, and I tried to do a Patreon on a couple of occasions and had a couple of patrons, and I definitely appreciate anyone that was ever a patron. But reality is, it wasn't enough support at a sustainable level. So, like I said, I needed the ads, unfortunately. Um, like right off, I had to pay for the website hosting. But this is the other thing. Work-wise, sometimes I do struggle with finding steady employment, and recently I did lose some employment that I was counting on. So any extra revenue I can get from ads, I do count on. So like I said, at this point, it's a necessary evil. If in the future I can build a bigger audience and find a way to monetize without Google Ads, obviously I would love to do that. But at the moment, like I said, it's a necessary evil, and I'm sorry if being repetitious here. Like I said, this is an impromptu video, but I just thought I needed to say something briefly. So, once again, if you visit the website and you have seen the ICE ads, I apologize. I reached out to Google. I'm hoping that the situation is rectified. And other than that, I'd like to thank those that have watched the videos. And I'd like to thank anyone that's checked out the website. And I'll conclude the video there. So thanks for watching. And please stay safe.